Hello everyone, my name is Margareta Kaluger. I am the program manager at America House Chisinau. Thank you for joining our webinar, GRE versus GMAT, which one is the best for you, conducted by our expert in international standardized exams, Dorina Calinovscaia, and organized by America House Chisinau. And now a little bit about America House. It is the cultural center administered by the Public Affairs section of the US Embassy in Moldova. Our aim is to provide accurate information about the United States, its customs, culture, politics, history, economy, and democratic traditions. The America House Center is open to everyone and the access is free of charge. We provide cultural and educational programs in 3 languages, English, Romanian, and Russian. We organize events such as discussion sessions, contests, debates, games, and trainings for those who want to develop their English skills, go study in the USA, or learn more about American culture. You can find more about our events on our Facebook page, America House Chisinau, or website, americahouse.md. We also have a large library with resources in English, books, board games, and movies that you can borrow for free. Here at America House, we also have an Education USA representative. And now I'm very pleased to let you meet our new advisor, Alina Yakubov. Alina has prepared something interesting for us. Alina?
Yes, hi everyone, nice to meet you there. So yes, my name is Alina Yakubov. I am the new Education USA advisor in Moldova. My office is at America House Chisinau here on Metropolit Bănulescu Bodoni 27. And yes, what is Education USA? We are one of the facilitators and one of the representatives of US studies here in Moldova. We're going to assist you with the questions you may have during the application process, during researching your options, applying for financial aid. We are having the pre-departure session before you leave to States. And also we are assisting you regarding any challenges or any questions you may have during this process, because it's a long one and it requires a lot of attention. So yes, in order to kind of introduce Education USA Moldova, I wanted, and thanks to America House Chisinau, we would like to make a kind of a giveaway at the end of today's session. And the giveaway will consist in 2 books. It's not actually that related to GRE and GMAT, but we know it's going to be very helpful for people who want to take the SAT test and the TOEFL test, and we'll have a nice bag with Education USA and some nice promotional materials. So please be active during this session and do your best to win. So yes, thank you very much for having me here.
Thank you very much, Alina. I'm sure our participants will be very active, will answer all the questions and will be very attentive throughout the session. And now I want to introduce you to our expert, Dorina Calinovscaia. She is an English language instructor and administrator of international standardized exams and trainer with 25 years of experience in teaching English and the preparation courses for TOEFL, IELTS, Cambridge, SAT, GRE, GMAT, and TOEIC. Dear Dorina, the stage is yours.
Okay, thank you. Hello, everybody. Can you hear me, right?
Yes.
Yes, everything is fine with the sound. Good. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I'm kind of surprised of having so many people here in Moldova, smart people interested in these very sophisticated exams. This is not to scare you off, but still. What we're going to talk about today is basically 2 main admission exams for American students who are planning to enter the master programs or PhD programs. most probably before telling you a lot of things about these exams, I will give you just very, very brief overview of all the exams, so the whole picture will be clear to you. So for our students, for our people who are planning to go abroad to the United States, for example, to go to college or university, there is a number of standardized exams. There are exams for non-native speakers. So exams which evaluate, which assess your level of academic language. These exams are TOEFL, IELTS, and Cambridge. So the main 3 exams. So this is a must for your college or university admission. Then there is one exam which is actually American exam for American pupils who are planning to enter colleges or universities in the United States. And this exam is called SAT, SAT or SAT. So this is the exam for native speakers. Nowadays, very often, our smart students who are planning to go to the United States or year by year, more and more European universities or Asian universities, they have to take both tests. They have to take TOEFL and SAT. So that is for those who are planning to go for the first degree level. Okay, that's clear. Now, those who want to go for their master programs or for PhD programs or any other postgraduate programs normally are required to take one of the 2 other standardized exams, American exams, exams for American native speakers. So these exams are GRE and GMAT. And these are the ones which we are going to talk about today. And basically, we're going to answer the most important question, which many students who come to me ask me, or the question of a lot of debates online if you go to the internet. So which one to choose? To go for GRE or to go for GMAT? Basically, today I'm going to tell you a lot of things about each of them. Mainly, I will try to compare the formats and the types of the questions for both of them, giving you a little bit of hints about what to do and how to approach these both exams. I will show you some examples of the questions for both of them. I will talk about timing, about some specific insights about each of the exam. And I hope you will be quite attentive, first of all, because the questions at the end of our workshop will be about the content of my presentation today. Also, I'm sure that you will have some questions regarding to what I'm going to tell you about. Please keep them till the end. So I will be happy to answer all the questions which come at the end of my presentation. Okay? Yes, good. Now, I will basically share my screen with you so that something will be visualized, making it easier for you. Okay, and here we go. We go for GRE and GMAT. Can you see my screen? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, very good. So, first of all, we've got GRE, Graded Record Examination, and GMAT, Graded Management Admission Test. First of all, who requires these exams? Mainly, GRE is required for all graduate programs and business programs. GMAT is required typically for business schools, and this is for MBA programs. That goes for GMAT, which makes it the way that if you do not know which program you are going to apply, but you're sure you will do it and you need the exam, probably you will go for GRE because it's kind of covering more areas than the GMAT. Then GRE can be paper and computer. So two options, although nowadays well, they are kind of getting rid of paper-based and switching more to computerized model. For example, here in Moldova, now there is no paper-based exam. So mostly people go to take their computerized. GMAT is computer test, computer adaptive test. And you probably know what does it mean, adaptive test. I will talk about this specifically a little bit later today. So I'm sure you have the questions, keep them, okay? So our GMAT is GMAT. This is one test having a number of sections. GRE might go GRE general and GRE subject. So GRE general includes verbal parts and quantitative, so math. GRE subject might go in a number of subjects, chemistry, biology, literature, history. So it depends on the university requirements, which exams you need to take. Quite often they go together. So quite often you would go for GRE general and your subject choice. But once again, it is not your decision. This is the university or educational institution requirement. So two types of GRE, general and subject, and one GMAT. Then our ETS, that's an organization which administers the GRE, they also go, for example, for TOEFL. And US-based Pearson's and GMAT, this is the big organization which provides and administers and owns actually the GMAT exam. Our modules of both tests are quite similar. So if we go quite general, both GRE and GMAT have the verbal part, the verbal section, quantitative section, and analytical writing. Under each of these headings, there are subheadings, which I'm going to show you a little bit later, but still you can see that both of these exams in a way test pretty much the same. Verbal, math, and writing. Our score validity 5 years for both of them. Test fee might be different depending on the country. Our duration of both tests, of each of them, sorry, is plus minus 3 hours, 30 minutes, 3 hours, 45 minutes. So they are quite similar in the duration. The total score, 300 maximum, 340 for GRE and 800 for GMAT. And we have the breakdown into the section. Basically, there is a quite sophisticated way of calculating the scoring. And honestly, you as a student do not need to know how it is calculated. You just need to go and get the maximum possible score. That's it. So down over here, you can see the official website, ets.org, gmac.org. So that's where you get all the information. That's where you register. That's where you pay. Everything related to this exam is done through these websites. When you take the exam here in Chisinau, no matter GRE or GMAT, you go to an authorized, kind of licensed test center, but the function of the test center here is just to provide you with the possibility to take the test. So they are not responsible for registration, payment, scoring, or any other issues. So everything which you need to do through the official websites. So these are the technical things. Now plunging into the exams themselves. Over here, we've got the format of both exams. To make it more or less visual, I marked the red ones, the green parts, those which are similar for both exams, and red ones, those which are different. So let's go. Both GRE and GMAT have the writing parts, writing section. GRE, you need to write 2, an issue essay and an argument essay. For GMAT, you've got only the argument. The argument in GRE and argument in GMAT are quite similar, not exactly, but similar. The timing you see is the same, 30 minutes for each argument part and 30 minutes for essay in the GRE. Then quantitative session, math. You've got 2 parts for the GRE, 35 minutes and 35 minutes. You've got quantitative comparisons, you have numeric entry and the multiple choice, and you have problem solving, data sufficiency, and again, multiple choice for GMAT. Our important thing here for GRE, you are allowed to use the calculator. For GMAT, no calculator. So I will mention it a little bit later now, just to see the basic differences. Then the verbal part, both of them, GRE and GMAT, have the reading sections. Both of them have the language sections, but the language sections are different. In GRE, you have sentence completion and sentence equivalence, which focuses you on the vocabulary. GMAT focuses you more on the structures, sentences, and text improvement. So you have sentence correction and text improvement. Also, in addition to these 2 subsections, in the GMAT verbal part, you will have critical reasoning questions. So the verbal for GRE, reading, sentence completion, and sentence equivalence. GMAT, reading, sentence correction, text improvement, and critical reasoning. Guys, now at this moment, I especially do not go deeper because I will show you the examples and I will tell you more about each of them a little bit later. Again, now they're just to see the whole picture. Then, in addition to what you see over there, in GMAT, we have another section, subsection, which is called integrated reasoning. And this part is connected to analyzing visuals and analyzing statistics. The part which is missing in the GRE. On the other hand, in the GRE, well, they're trying to be kind of more sophisticated, and they give you the experimental section, which is, thanks God, unscored. You never know what will be the experimental section. It can be either extra math or extra verbal. This is unscored. They say that they do it for integrity reasons and also for the reasons of improving the test. Once again, you never know which section from those which you are doing is experimental. So anyway, you have to do all of them with the highest possible scoring. And also they introduced something which they call research in the GRE. Again, this is unscored. And again, this is something to probably in the future, maybe not the nearest, but in the future, to introduce this kind of new section into the GRE. Again, you don't need to worry about that because this is unscored. Okay, we're here, we see the whole picture. So green parts are similar, red parts are different. Now I'm going deeper into each of them. And again, I will be focusing more on similarities and differences. Reading section. In GRE, you have up to 10 passages, 2 to 5 questions per each passage. GMAT, Again, up to 10 passages, 1 to 6 questions per passage. What they want you to do, they give you the texts, quite academic ones. So the ones which you can encounter being a student or being a postgraduate student from different areas, from humanities, from social studies, from sciences, all of the possible areas. They want you to see the text as the whole, and they want you to see it deeper. What it means as the whole. They ask you to analyze the text structure or the purpose of the text. That's how it looks at the GRE. Something very similar, but in the GMAT paradigm, it is called main idea questions, the purpose of the text and the topic of the text. Then the big picture, the logical development of the text for GRE, and the logical structure and logical connection questions for GMAT. Again, quite similar. The next type of the questions shared by both of these exams are the perspective or tone questions. So, which means that these questions ask you about the attitude of the writer, the position of the writer, or how would the writer reflect on some specific topic mentioned in the text. Then reading closely the detail for GRE, like according to the paragraph or according to the passage. And supporting idea or detail for GMAT, again, pretty much the same. It's when you need to look into the text deeper and figure out some specific information. Then something which is called extrapolation for GMAT are like going beyond the text, building logics on the basis of the text. So this is inference. We see it in GMAT and we see it in GRE. And application questions in both exams, how this idea can be developed or can be applied, again, going beyond the text to outside the span of the text. These questions are similar for GMAT and for GRE. Something else we have in GRE reading tasks, something which basically is missing in GMAT exam. Here I have to say that in general, GRE is very vocabulary focused. We'll see it a little bit later. But for the reading, we've got analyzing word choice, why the author chose this word or this phrase in this specific place of the text. The meaning of the word in context. This is again something which you will not probably find in GMAT. And finally, one more type of the questions, which is relevant only for the computer GRE, not paper-based. When they give you a sentence in the question, and you need to find a sentence in the text which have the similar essential information. And at the exam, at the computerized exam, you just click on the sentence which you find. And again, this select in passage type of the questions you do not have in GMAT. So that's basically the similarity and the difference between these types of the exams. Of course, when we think about preparation, each of these types of the questions have specific techniques, specific approaches, how to make them correctly, how to answer correctly, and how to answer fast. Okay, because they are very different, so the approach would be very different. Now to show you how the question might look like, here we go. We have the GRE. We've got the text. or a part of the text. And we have, based on the information given in the passage, the intended audience would most likely be. So most likely be. So this is about inference. We've got A, B, C, D, E. And in this case, you need to choose one. So the correct answer would be one letter. Another variant for the GRE type of the reading question, you can see over here. When you've got, consider each of the choices separately and select all that apply. And you have only A, B, and C. And in this case, it might be one letter or two letters or even three letters. So you're free to choose. So you are not limited in the number of answers. So this is another way how the question in GRE might look like. So classical multiple choice and multiple choice with as many as possible choices to apply. This is the GRE. Now, Gmat reading in this term looks quite more predictable. So for Gmat reading, you have only A, B, C, D, E, and you need to choose one. For example, the primary purpose of the passage is to. So this is the global main question, and you choose one answer. For those, for example, who already taken the TOEFL test, this looks similar to the TOEFL question with the rhetorical purpose. Then here the passage suggests. So this is about inferring the suggestions from the passage, and again, A, B, C, D, E, and you choose one. Okay, so once again, reading GMAT, reading GRE. Our GRE, we've got our all set of the questions plus focusing on vocabulary. Our GMAT is about bigger picture and details and inference. Our GRE might give you to choose 1 out of 5 answers, as many as possible out of 3 answers, and one more is select in passage when you need to click on the sentence. GMAT, only classical multiple choice, out of 5 letters, you choose one. Now we continue. GRE, vocabulary focus, sentence completion. What you've got, you have a sentence or you have a passage, short one, and you have a blank or 2 blanks or 3 blanks. Like over here, we can see we have the sentence and we have the blank. What you have, you've got 5 choices, A, B, C, D, E. Okay. What your task is, you need to click on 2 answers. So you need to find 2 words which have similar meaning to complete the message of the sentence. So the answer to this type of the question is 2 letters. And no credit is given for partially correct answers. So if 1 letter is correct and the second one is not, I'm sorry, but you get 0. Here, the rules of GRE. So another example of sentence completion is here. We've got 2 blanks, blank 1 and blank 2. And your task is to choose 1 letter for blank A, 1 letter for blank 2. And again, the correct answer, the answer which will receive a point, will be of 2 letters. Sometimes in this passage, you might have 3 blanks. So the table will have blank 1, blank 2, and blank 3. So these are the vocabulary questions for sentence completion in the GRE exam. And one more for vocabulary for GRE is something which is called sentence equivalent. We have 1 sentence, we have 6 answer choices, and we have to go for 2 answer choices to logically complete the sentence. So this is about the vocabulary for GRE. So coming back to our main question, what to go for, GRE or GMAT? If you feel strong in vocabulary, not everyday vocabulary, but the one which is purely academic, you might want to go for the GRE test. Now, GMAT. GMAT focuses you on sentence structures and grammar and the structure of the text. This part of GMAT has 2 different subparts. One is sentence correction, and another is text improvement. So what we have, you are given a part of the text, and in that part of the text, you might have a piece underlined, which means that there is a trouble in the underlined part. And your task is to correct it, finding one variant out of A, B, C, D, E, the one which will replace the incorrect variant and make it logically and grammatically correct. Okay, so the underlined part might have the troubles with grammar, with vocabulary, with any kind of structural points. Okay, sorry. I'm back. Yeah. When it comes to text improvement most probably looks similarly. Just the point that the part which will be underlined will be bigger, and you will need to consider whether this part belongs to the text, whether this part supports the previous idea, whether this part is logically connected, whether this part doesn't have any redundancies or run-on sentences or sentence fragments. So basically, you need to analyze how logically and coherently and concisely the text is written, and again, make some improvement to this part of the text. So, just to stop for a second, the focus of GRE, vocabulary, the focus of GMAT, grammar, structures, and analyzing of the text. Now, a little bit more of GMAT, something which GRE does not have, but honestly, for me, the favorite. This is something which does not really require deep knowledge of kind of obscene vocabulary. This is something which requires your logics. What they do, they give you a case or a situation. For example, one food writer wrote that reducing the amount of animal products in one's diet can contribute to better health and well-being. Based on this claim, some people are completely eliminating meat from their diets in order to be healthier. And the question might come about argument, assumption, conclusion, or discrepancy. So the question is, the argument above relies on which of the following assumptions? How do you think, guys? Could you take a look? And we have A, B, C, D, E. What assumption would make the argument relevant? Anybody wants to try it? Anybody? Any voices? So people stop eating meat completely in order to be healthier. What assumption do they have? Can I hear any voices? You are not penalized for making mistakes. Not here, nor in GMAT.
Like I think you'd say the answer A, increasing the amount of vegetables and
grain in one's diet can contribute to better health.
One's health.
Why do you think so?
Because in the text there is written that some people are completely eliminating the meat from their diets in order to be healthier.
May I, what is your name?
Florin.
Okay. Look, may I attract your attention to the information in the first sentence? Animal products. So the writer claimed about animal products, right? People eliminated only meat. What assumption we need to make it correct? What would we do with their dairy products, with the milk products? Could you look at option B? We make an assumption that these people will not increase the amount of milk, dairy products in their diets. If we assume this, then the statement might be considered relevant. Do you see the point?
Yes, I do now.
You do now, right? Okay, so this is just an example, just to distract you a little bit. Not too scary, because these questions, once again, are quite interesting. Each of these types of the questions have special techniques, how to answer, how to kind of unwind the logics of the question. And once again, these types of the questions do not require deep knowledge in the vocabulary, which unfortunately a lot of our students are, let's say, miss. So in many cases, in my experience, many of our students whose level of English was not that high and who could not cope with GRE vocabulary managed quite successfully this critical reading in GMAT, just because of the logical development, not because of just learning the vocabulary. Now, there's GMAT. One more thing in GMAT, which we do not have in GRE, integrated reasoning. What we've got, we have the graphs, tables, line graphs, different kind of numbers and statistics. And they ask us the questions to analyze these statistics. There will be a picture and 2 or 3 relevant questions. They might be the combination of 2 pictures. Again, this does not require deep knowledge of the language. This requires just knowing the approach to the questions and knowing the strategies. And once again, this is GMAT, not the GRE. Okay, now we're going further and we're going to math. I am complete humanitarian, but I've got like dozens, maybe hundreds of students who successfully coped with GRE and GMAT, and I know a lot of insights about that. So what we have, the content is the same: algebra, data interpretation, geometry, arithmetic, and word problems. The format for GRE and for GMAT, as I told you, calculator, GRE, GMAT, no calculator. So GRE is more technical, pure math, mostly multiple choices, one answer, multiple choice with one or more answers, and numeric entry questions. GMAT, again, it's more about logics. So that's about problem solving and data sufficiency. Once again, if you feel comfortable in this area of maths, you would go for GMAT. If you still feel that you need something more grounded, calculator work, you will go for GRE. So that's about math. Now, writing task. Writing for GRE and writing for GMAT. As I told you initially, both of them have argument. What it means, you need to examine and critique the logic of an argument. By the way, coming back to the beginning of my talk today, this kind of writing for both GRE and GMAT are somehow similar to the one which you might experience taking the SAT exam. On a little bit different level, but still, something is given to you with kind of rhetorical purpose, so the purpose to convince you, and providing some reasoning and arguments. And your task is to evaluate the arguments which were provided. In this case, for both GRE and GMAT, it's absolutely not about you giving your opinion about the topic. This is not something which we see as the essay. This is argumentative writing. I will go down and I will show how it might look for the GRE, for example. The director of the International Health Foundation recently released this announcement. A new medical test that allows an early detection of a particular disease will prevent the death of people all over the world who would otherwise die from the disease. The test has been extremely effective in allowing doctors to diagnose their disease 6 months to a year before it would have been spotted by conventional means. As soon as we can institute this test as a routine procedure in hospitals around the world, the death rate from this disease will plummet. So this is what is given to you. What you need to do, you need to write a response in which you examine the stated or unstated assumptions of the argument. Be sure to explain how the argument depends on the assumptions and what the implications are if the assumptions prove unwarranted. You can see here a wonderful word, assumption. So that's, if you remember, we talked about like a couple of minutes ago when we had the GMAT. In GMAT, the whole section is about assumptions, logics, drawing the conclusions. In GRE, this appears only in the argumentative writing. Once again, you need to analyze the logics of the argument, and it's absolutely not your opinion about this medicine or about what should be done or should not be done. This is argumentative writing for GRE. Now let's look at similar task in GMAT. The following appears as a part of medical advertisement in a magazine. A new medical test that allows their early detection of a particular disease will prevent the death of people. Sounds very, very similar to the GRE, right? Quite similar situation. And then the question, discuss how logically convincing you find this argument. Be sure to evaluate the line of reasoning and the use of evidence in the argument. So you see that even the tasks, the piece itself, which you need to read, it's about the same, very similar. The question for GMAT is a little bit more developed. So which means that the side of critical reasoning in GMAT is more emphasized. So for GMAT, they expect you to write a little bit deeper investigation of the arguments. The rest for GRE and GMAT writing piece are quite the same. And even the timing, 30 minutes, is the same for both of them. I can tell you again from insight that this kind of task goes easier for GMAT students because while preparing for exam, they go through critical reasoning. So identifying assumption, logical connections, weakening and strong points for them when they come to practice the writing goes almost automatically. So, and that's the matter of focusing of the exam and preparation for exam. Now, that was argument. GRE, in addition, has opinion. 30 minutes to express your opinion about a point, about the idea, about a statement. And this is something which we can relate to essays which we write for any other kind of exam. Just I have to mention that, of course, the language which you use, the structures which you use are supposed to be extremely complicated because this is something which is expected from an educated native speaker. Like writing done by the person who already graduated from college or university. So academic language, variety of structures, and logical connection and support of your ideas. You have to write an essay in which you take a position on the statement above. And this is the GRE writing. Are you okay, guys? Yes. So now at this point, I want to go back for a minute to this picture. And you see that basically I've covered all of these points. And now it is clear for you what's the difference between GRE and GMAT writing. You see essay and argument and argument. Quantitative, multiple choice comparisons for GRE, problem solving and multiple choice as well for GMAT. And the biggest difference in the verbal part. Reading for both, sentence completion with and sentence equivalence with focus on vocabulary, and GMAT, sentence correction, text improvement, focusing on the structures, critical reasoning, logical connection, evidence, assumption, and the argument, and separately integrated reasoning, which is connected to analyzing the graphs and the statistics. That's about the difference in the structure and somewhere types of the questions. And now I want to approach another very important question, which might basically define whether you would go for GRE or GMAT. And this is the notion of the adaptive tests. Does anybody know what is adaptive test? Anybody? Speak it up. Say something. Adaptive test. Improvise.
Sample test, maybe?
Excuse me?
Sample test?
Not actually.
A test to see if your if GRE or GMAT is better for you?
Not actually. What does it mean to adapt? You know the word to adapt, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So adaptive tests, what it means. Okay, I'll give you first of all the example of non-adaptive test. For example, TOEFL is non-adaptive test. SAT is non-adaptive test. What it means, you go for the SAT, they give you the booklet and you have the set of the tasks, right? For TOEFL, you go to the exam and you have the set of tasks. And the person sitting next to you has the same set for SAT at least. Okay? This is non-adaptive tests. Adaptive tests means that the questions which you get one by one depend on how smart you are in the previous questions. What it means that if you answer, okay, no, differently. If you imagine the whole list of the questions, some of them are in the lower level, like lower level of difficulty. Others are in the middle pool, it's called. The next is the higher pool. I'm simplifying, but the basics is this. When you go to the exam, you get the question from the middle pool, medium difficulty. If you answer this question incorrectly, the next one will be of slightly lower difficulty. If you answer it correctly, they give you the higher level difficulty question. If you answer it correctly, then goes another higher level of difficulty question. This is something which is called adaptive tests. That is why for these kind of tests, it is not only important how many questions you answered correctly, but whether you answered the higher level of the difficulty questions. I'm not going into this deeper. It would take hours to show you, but I'm just explaining you the principle. And that's what you will be doing, practicing and understanding when you prepare for the exam. But now coming back to GRE and GMAT difference. GRE is section adaptive test and GMAT is question adaptive test. What it means? For GRE, you get a question, you get a section, like you get the verbal section. They give you the time. This time goes for the whole section. They don't break it into questions. If you do this section successfully, if you manage over there with the higher level questions, higher level of difficulty, the next section will be more complicated, but it will give you higher scoring. So the second section level relies on the level done in the first section. I hope it makes sense, right? Now, GMAT is absolutely different. GMAT limits your time for each question. And if you answer the question correctly, the next one will be of higher level. So then you answer and again the next level, which means that GMAT is question adaptive test. In a way, GMAT is easier to get to the higher level of difficulty, and getting to the higher level of difficulty, winning higher scoring. On the other hand, GMAT, of course, is really nerve-wracking. And if you do not feel comfortable with such a pressure, you would probably not go for GMAT, but go for a slower, like more placed way of doing things for GRE. And that is very important to understand again when you are choosing between GRE and GMAT. So section adaptive and question adaptive. Also, what I must mention here, I don't think that I said it before, you are not penalized for incorrect variance for both of the exams. Logically, if we think about GRE section and time per section, you can go back and revise, which you cannot do for GMAT. GMAT you do, you click next and you're done. Again, consider this. How good are you in time management, and how emotionally and psychologically stable you are. That's important. And finally, which one is best for you? First of all, again, I don't want to repeat what I have said before, just a couple of more points here. Focusing on business school, definitely you go for GMAT. Also, some recruiters in big companies, high profile companies, are interested in your GMAT score. So take this into account. On the other hand, you don't know which program to choose, or you are more science style, you go for GRE. Then, testing style. This basically takes us to what I just said. GRE, section adaptive. You can skip questions, you can check your work, you can go backward and forward. GMAT, one question at a time, and that's question adaptive. Finally, when we come to knowing your strengths, English skills, where you feel more comfortable, more confident in vocabulary, so that's GRE. In grammar or structures, that's GMAT. Math, straightforward calculations, you go to GRE. Logics, no calculator. Analysis, especially analysis of statistics and data, you go for GMAT. Finally, there is an idea which you can find somewhere on different groups on the internet, a lot of information about that. Weaker English, go for GMAT. Weaker math, go for GRE. Hard to say. I cannot tell you, go this way or go that way. And I hope that after this 1 hour of me talking, you at least made some kind of ideas what to consider while deciding going for GRE or going for GMAT. And also, I hope you figure out that GRE and GMAT is for graduate studies, is for master and PhD programs. For those of you, unfortunately, I don't see your faces and I don't know your background. For those of you who are just in school, this is the thing of their future. Because for you, of course, another exam is required. This is the SAT, which is another long story to talk. Here we go. I hope I was helpful. I hope you do have questions now. And I will be happy to answer.
Sorry, we do have a question I see from Irina. She's asking, for computer-based test, can we see the result for verbal and quantitative section as soon as we finish the test?
Normally you do. This is something which is called raw score. Then, look guys, the point is, when it comes to these exams, the parts which have any kind of multiple choice, or let's say wider, any kind of expected and fixed answer, these parts give you the answers immediately, but then you have the score for the writing sections. The writing sections are evaluated in the range from 0 to 6 with 0.5 increments. And only after that, the whole score is calculated. That's why, of course, your raw score will tell you something, but it is not final, and it can be quite radically changed when the writing parts are taken into consideration. Okay? And that's why how to decide if we should send the scores after finishing the test or not. Well, basically, when you apply to a program or to university, they identify the minimum necessary score for admission. So when you see the final result, you see whether it is worth sending or not, first of all. Secondly, I'm sure that Margareta and Alina especially could tell you more about that. But even from my experience working with candidates, with students who wanted to apply to American programs or universities, it depends on the university itself. So sometimes they identify the minimum score which you need to get, but honestly, they're kind of happy with you just taking it. They still know that you are not native speakers. They do not expect from you some fantastic scores. They want to see your trial. That's why maybe even if your final score is kind of lower, you are losing nothing sending them the results. Why not to try? Okay. There is a possibility to send the scores for free after finishing. For 4 institutions, if I send the scores later, should we pay a fee? Well, basically, for all of these exams, as far as I know the conditions, you can send their score directly, but also you can get for free their paper-based certificate. So you have the certificate, the fact that you did take their test, and then you can send the copy of this certificate to as many institutions as you need. So in this way, you are not limited. Are we allowed to take notes on paper during the computer? Yes, there are the notes. You can take notes for writing especially.
I have one more question. What is the location and where can students take the GRE and GMAT? Because I was talking with Dorina, she's one of our graduates, students who is interested in applying in States. And we figured out that American Councils was before providing the GRE, or no? No.
So I was the administrator of GRE for 10 years, even more, when it was paper-based. And during all those time, the American Council of Moldova was the only organization which provided that exam here in Moldova in general. Since the pandemic, they closed wherever possible any kind of paper-based things. And since then, as far as I know, there are some organizations, 1 or 2 in Kishinev, which provide the computer GRE and computer GMAT. what you should do, you should go online on the official website. You should search for Test Center Chisinau, Moldova. And over there, together with the dates for the exam, you will see exactly the location. Also over there, you will see the contact phone number of the administrator of the test center. So all the information is available over there. As I told you, no paper-based now, just the computer. And we definitely have the test centers, at least one test center at a time, in Chisinau for GRE and one test center for GMAT.
Okay, it's good to know. Thank you very much.
Any more questions? I hope, guys, I didn't scare you off with all these wonderful details. Can we skip the research section? Is it optional? Well, as far as I know, before you could skip it. Now they're making it mandatory. This is just 30 minutes of your life. Well, anyway, it's worth trying.
Yes, and you mentioned that to see if there is a test center in Chisinau, we should register on ETS account and just check the location in Chisinau.
For GRE is ETS, yes.
Yes, so I have an account on ETS and I didn't see any location in Chisinau for GRE.
Did you register for computer-based?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Well, this should be something over there for sure. Well, what I can suggest you, maybe just by the end of the year, there is nothing here. Because basically, I know that at least now it's December, right? At least in September, I had a student who did it here in Moldova. And that was kind of foundation for development. So they are located somewhere Badoni, down, not far from the Academy of, not far from ASEM. So you should try to look over there. That's it. Unfortunately, this is the only place, the official site, where you can find the location and register.
I mean, did he
Otherwise, I'm sorry, just let me finish this. Otherwise, if you cannot find it, and if you have quite tight deadline, I would recommend you to go for to try somewhere in Romania. They definitely have it in Bucharest. They definitely have it in Iași, and they definitely have it in Kyiv. That's for sure. 3 locations, like the nearby locations. So if your deadline is quite tight, so just try to go over there. Don't wait until the test appears over here.
Okay, did he take that test as a part of the Fulbright program, or
No,
was it for master's?
No, that was for some kind of master program. It wasn't Fulbright. Usually when it's Fulbright, they kind of recommend you where to take as they're paying for it.
Yeah, so that's what I thought it's because you said that he found a
so
center.
I can assume that now, you know, with all this, like the last year, everything is going crazy and quite unpredictable. So there might be just no test now. Although, like officially, the GRE test, if we talk about GRE, can be taken anytime, and you can take it like once in 21 days, like no more than 5 times per year or something like that. And unlike the paper-based, which is organized quite strictly, and the dates for paper-based are known a year in advance, like the SAT, for example. We know the dates a year in advance. The computerized tests are you just go by yourself and you are the only one over there. So it can be any day. So I would recommend you try to search still on the website. There should be at least one organization in Moldova now which is taking it.
Okay, I'll check. Thank you.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
also, which are the ways to improve our analytical writing?
Well, you're talking about GRE?
Yes.
Mhm. So our analytical writing, first of all, you need to look. Again, there are a lot of sources, different courses, and that's what you would do with probably with the instructor who will direct you. The point is about some kind of types of tasks. Like today, I just gave you the general picture. There are some subtypes. Well, it would take we would be staying here till tomorrow morning if I start describing everything. Then for each of these subtypes, you will see the plan and the direction. Then the way you analyze the argument. You have the topic, you have the argument itself, you have the evidence, you have the assumption which connects the topic and the argument. So all this practice you do, analyzing the argument first, because I want to tell you that the main focus when you're writing, your analytical writing is assessed, is not on the writing itself. This is on the way you analyze the argument. So you need to practice analyzing first and then start writing. Okay, and then after you go through these stages, you need to find the samples. And you see the samples, you read the samples. You kind of, saturate yourself with all this style of doing things. So that's what I can answer.
Thank you.
Questions?
I guess now we can apply in practice what we were talking at the beginning of the session. That at the end of the session we'll have you sharing some questions where how we can score people's participation at this session.
I would suggest, I would suggest very easy way. If you can go, guys, if you can take, I don't know, some minutes, to make two lists. One list, the similarities between the two tests, and the second list, the differences. And then those who have the longer lists will be the winners. That's what I can suggest.
Yes, I remind you that we have here two sets of books. It's TOEFL and SAT, but we're gonna adapt because I see we do have participants which are graduates, so we do have in stock GRE and GMAT, and we will adapt. If the ones from graduate degree will be more active, then we will switch it.
And the SAT preparation will be a good beginning.
Yes,
and will lay great foundation for those who will want in the future to succeed in GRE and GMAT.
Yes, for sure we'll need some more practice on that. Should our participants write their answers in chat, right?
Yeah, probably.
Okay, so yeah, please write in chat, be active.
And I guess we will give you 3 minutes. So the more the better.
So what should we write about?
So first list, what's similar about these exams? And second list, what's the difference? What are the differences?
So you have 2 more minutes to write in the chat. Irina is the most active for now.
Mhm.
Who else? I think our
Mhm.
time is up. Alina,
Mhm.
would you like to? Oh, somebody else
Mhm.
wrote.
Amelia, both have argument writing in my section. My section is with calculator. Gmat is more logics. Multiple choice. Adaptive. Gmat is question adaptive. Both can be given on computer. Amelia, I would say that Gmat is more about logics and GRE is more about vocabulary and about knowledge. Irina, GRE used if you didn't decide your major. GMAT if you want to apply to a business program, exactly, to MBA program.
Okay, then Alina, I will let you designate and reward the winner, the 2 winners.
I mean, obviously, Irina is winning. Irina, we will adapt the books we have. I prepared TOEFL and SAT, but we are gonna prepare one with GRE and GMAT because I know you need that. And another one will go to Amelia. And we
Amelia.
have Florine.
Amelia wrote and Florine.
Yes, and Florine. So yeah, please read
Daniela.
Dorina. And Daniela, yes.
But I guess Amelia wrote.
Yeah, Amelia, I guess, yeah. Good. Very well.
Okay, so Amelia and Florine, we do have 2 sets for SAT and TOEFL. So please stop by or let us know how do you want them to pick. Maybe someone can pick it for you. And Irina, we are waiting for you here also. I'm gonna prepare one with GRE and GMAT. So yeah, you are welcome to stop by. And we do have, by the way, a library with books, including the ones with GRE and GMAT. So you can inform yourself. You can borrow them. You can borrow them for free. And yes, stop by to pick your gifts and let me know how do you want them to be shipped, or I guess
No,
it's not going to be possible to ship them, but yes, you can just let someone to pick them for you. Inform us.
So Amelia, Florine, and Irina, we are waiting for you here at America House at Bănulescu Bodoni 27. And for everybody else who wants to pick a book, like to borrow a book, it's free. So you can come. We have books on TOEFL, IELTS, and any other exams. Even we have books, literature, or on other topics that you can borrow as well for free. What else? If nobody has question, if Mrs. Dorina doesn't want to add anything, I can close this.
Well, I just say thank you guys for participating. I hope it was at least informative for you. Maybe for some of you it was kind of inspiring to start doing the things, or at least to start thinking about that, which is also a good way. And well, in case you have some questions, you can always find me I don't know, on Facebook, for example, and there are my contacts over there. So I can recommend you the way to prepare or just give any kind of consultation. And of course, guys, if you are here, it already means that you are planning to increase your knowledge, to improve your educational level, to do something. And I wish you all the possible luck, because this is a really well rewarding thing, although not so simple. So
Thank you very much,
guys.
Dorina. It was so nice to meet you. I really hope that we will do an on-site event regarding SAT, as we were talking
we have
before.
the SAT on our mind. Yes.
A spoiler
Yes.
about SAT for the ones who are undergraduates, and we know that you are really interested about. I mean, they are not still undergraduates, but they want to be undergraduates. So yes.
Okay. Everything is changing and moving ahead.
Yes.
Good.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
This
you.
is Dorina
Thank you.
starting the
Yeah.
webinar. Thank you everyone for joining, for staying with us till the end. We recorded this session, so I think we will upload it on our YouTube page, so you'll be able to rewatch it again. Thank you very much, and have an amazing evening.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye bye, guys. Have a great evening.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye bye.